Welcome to Guelph Fight Wrestler. I'm Andrew Sennedra, and this is the Village Person, Captain Witchfingers. And today we are talking about AEW's and New Japan's Forbidden Door, which was a pretty good show overall, I think. But before we get into it, this video is sponsored by Zlata S Arts. She did the design of his face for our t-shirt. So thanks to her for that funky design of this guy's face for our t-shirt. Anyways, let's get into Forbidden Door. We're going to be working our way from the main event down to the beginning of the show. And the main event was pretty damn good. Will Ospreay, like always, elevated the performance of someone else. And he did that with Swerve Strickland. Strickland's pretty good. At least what we saw of him as Killshot in Lucha Underground. Yeah. But we felt like he kind of came down a bit for AEW. Maybe he had that WWE hangover still in his system.
It is a really good match. I love the transitions back and forth, especially when they're like dodging each other. They're like, because they're both like really fast, and when they're just just go back and forth, near kick, near punch, and they're just like dodging like crazy. Like I think that was pretty like a good action movie kind of.
Yeah, it was like an action movie. The amount of dodging and stuff they did, and how in unison they were. No hiccups there, so you can clearly tell that they've worked together. And you kind of took what I was thinking is like lots of quick sequences in the match that kind of get you hyped up and big moments. There was definitely some huge moments of big nasty spills and moves and things like that, like the barricade Hurricanrana. The barricade pile driver. So there was, those big moments. There's an impressive mixture of styles, a lot of hard hitting, like you said, the sequences of the striking, the big moves, the big moments off the turnbuckles, a lot of the Ospreay stuff, Swerve pulling out, a few new little different things here and there. A lot of fine details to this match. Both guys using their entire arsenals.
Yeah, there's this one spot where like Swerve's like on the top, and then the other guy like runs out the rope. And I'm like, oh my, what's he gonna do? He's just standing there. And then obviously goes flying for like the stomp, and then like smokes him against the table. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it looked like kind of Ospreay. If he didn't jump, he would have been bent in half over the announce table. So it was like that would have sucked because you kind of see him leap to take the stomp. Because otherwise, I think Swerve would have just hit his shoulders and bent him, buying over the table. That would have been gnarly as hell.
It's kind of funny to see Don Callis at the end. He's like, finish him! Here's the screwdriver, He's like, just stab him! He's like, stab Nana too!
Stab these jackasses with a screwdriver.
And then that kind of costed him the match at the end, where he's like hesitant. He's like, I can't. I'm like clean now.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be the way to help Ospreay lose, but not lose convincingly. This kind of throws the schmoz over the match for him.
Yeah, for sure. It's not because he had 18-0 record, right? So he had to,
but this also builds a storyline with Ospreay versus Don Callis, right? Yeah. Oh, you don't do what it needs to get done, and puts Kyle Fletcher in the middle of it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So do we get like a united? Does Kyle Fletcher stay there? Does he go United Empire with Will Ospreay? Kind of just it almost opens up a new storyline.
I think it's kind of good because Don Callis' family is kind of big with like this added Trent. They just added maybe Rouge. So they're like, come on, new members, and now they can just delete some members as well, kind of thing.
That could make sense there, I think, for sure. Now we're moving on to Moxley versus Tetsuya Naito, which is a rematch. I saw that one. I don't think you saw the first match, but yeah, the rematch was all right. I think the first match went better. For me personally, it's quite a physical match for the most part, and a lot of full force hits from guys. But I felt like there was a bit of maybe sloppiness, maybe on Mox's part.
Yeah.
Receiving like the Destinos and some of the stuff. We're kind of sure how some of it landed. And then we're like, oh, was that a Destino? I don't know.
Yeah, so some of those like counters, or I think were counters, were like what just happened? Where like he's like gonna do something, and then like they both fall down, and then we're like, we don't know what happened here.
Yeah, it's sort of, I think, kind of allowed the impact of Naito's moves not to have the force they did.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised by the ending.
Yeah.
I think the move was supposed to be more impactful, and then it would look more devastating, but it didn't. And then he does the Destino right after, and it had the same effect. And I was kind of like, Mox just lost?
Yeah, I was thinking Mox might kick out because I'm like, that didn't look that good or that clean of a finish. Because like usually like people take Destino a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And he just like fell over. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's over. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was a bit weird on that one.
It's kind of funny to see Naito. He's like kept spitting at him. He's like a spitter. Mox like getting mad.
Now we're moving on to the best match of the night. It's the TNT ladder match. We got Mark Briscoe versus Konosuke Takeshita versus Dante Martin versus El Phantasmo versus Lio Rush versus Jack Perry. Quite a car wreck. Lots of chaos in this match. Lots of big moments. Yeah, vicious brainbuster that Dante Martin took. Vicious spot from Mark Briscoe where he kind of like, hurt himself maybe. Where he took the table across the ribs. It didn't quite work out too well. One thing I thought was really impressive was Leo's Rush dive through the tope through the ropes under the ladder. So he had almost not just the ropes that you have to go through, which is narrow, but then through the ladder. So he had this like little box basically to go through, and almost only him could do it because of his small frame.
Yeah. I love the strategy involved. Like when they all come out, they're all like staring down the scapegoat, like, this guy is destined to win. Let's beat him up. And then once they beat him up, they're like, let's target Takeshita. That guy's huge. Let's target him. Let's beat him up.
Yeah, an actual strategy to a match.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, yeah, speaking of Takeshita, he had a really good match. Lots of big moments. He took some as well in that match. Very hard hitting. He decked some guys pretty stiff in that match. I was like, oh, geez, that was mean. He took El Phantasmo stiffed some people with those kicks, his super kicks as well. And speaking of El Phantasmo, he took a blue thunder bomb through the tables. I was like, oh, man, he made sure he was remembered in this match.
But before that, he killed Lio Rush with like that cutter and like kind of bent him and Lio Rush on that ladder. Man, I feel like everybody got killed by the ladder that match.
Yeah, Jack didn't really take much, did he?
No,
I think he might have been one of the only guys who didn't really get brutalized too much in that match. But it was a really fun match, really cool. Nothing too evil and stuff like that. Nobody got hurt. I'm sure everyone was like, "Oh, Dante Martin, you stupid idiot! You got hurt last time in a ladder match." But you have to face your fears, especially as a wrestler.
Oh, it's also funny to see like Takeshita gives Lio Rush the last ride, and he's like so strong and he's like so light. So he just like just break him in half with that last ride onto the ladder.
Yeah, it almost looked like he was like lifting him, like he might just let him fly out of his hands. Oh shit. The next match that we're going to talk about is the Learning Tree. Yeah, that was good.
Hello, guys.
Jericho, Big Bill, and at least Jeff Cobb was in the match versus Hook, Shibata, and Samoa Joe the Melonhead. But overall, it wasn't too bad of a match. I've personally felt that it was Hook and Cobb did the heavy lifting.
Yeah,
they did most of the match. Like Joe didn't do too much. Shibata, he actually got beat up a bit. They're actually beating him up for the most part. But I felt like Cobb and Hook had the best moments, the heavy lifting for the most part. And the storyline was kind of seemed mostly between Jericho and Hook, anyways.
Yeah. It's funny because like you see Hook, he's like, I was surprised he picked up Cobb. And then he grabs Jericho. He's like having a hard time getting Jericho out. Like Jericho's like, he doesn't look that heavy, but he's like really heavy.
maybe like Cobb leaps or something. Jericho's like, try and lift me. I'm not going anywhere. But he's deceivingly fast.
And also, I think you mentioned you love the Hook's Judas effect better than actually Jericho himself.
Yeah, like Jericho kind of just like spins around, and sometimes it almost like he misses you, he grazes you, things like that. But Hook, he kind of like looks like as an MMA fighter, like stepping into something, plants his feet to turn, you know, like as a fighter would. So I just thought like his seems more effective and more powerful. So I was like, yeah, go Hook. He does his move better than Jericho.
He does faster Ewings, you know. He's like measuring him, and he's like boom.
Yeah.
No,
Not too bad of a match. But this next match, I think I was definitely better in my opinion. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy. I figured we were gonna get a very highly technical match, which Orange Cassidy is quite good at, which I don't think people see too much from him. So I thought that was really good to have, you know, him versus Zack Sabre Jr. getting to show off his style more so and go like, hey, I can wrestle like this.
Yeah. It's good to see that he shows his other side. He's not always just gimmicks. He can do like the hold for hold with them.
Yeah.
And it's also funny that like there was still like a bit of gimmicks where he's like, you know, he's like, oh yeah, put your hands in your pocket. He's
Your
like,
hands in your put your pants in your pocket.
And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna like bend your arms or bend your limbs.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was like kind of like a technical war. It was very well done, kind of like, you know, Sabre versus Danielson, that kind of match that they had, and once again, the man of 1,000 moves, Zack Sabre pulls out some new ones as well, new moves, new submissions, especially the end, wrapping all the limbs up, all that he could. I was like, holy crap, that end submission was he's just like, I'll grab one limb, and then another limb, and then another limb, and then another limb until Orange has nothing to tap with except like, I gotta go with the head.
I was a bit surprised by that finish because like Orange always or usually wins, so we thought maybe he might win, but I'm like, oh, it's good to see he yielded the win kind of thing.
That would have been kind of crappy because then it would have mostly been an AEW night outside of like Naito, I think, right?
Yeah, but Orange Cassidy, I remember a couple of times like they threw him on his head, like Michinoku driver, he just spiked him on his head, and then the diving DDT. I'm like, oh man, the Zack Sabre Jr. took some like nasty spills.
Well, he sells pretty good, right? Like
he does.
Like Ospreay sells really good. Man, you know, Mox needs to learn. He's just like falling around. He doesn't sell Naito's moves. But he needs to learn from Zack Sabre's DDT selling jobs. Now we're moving on to, I would say, a surprisingly good match from Danielson.
Good.
I think he actually, you know, for the most part, I just don't think he's as high up as everyone does. It's not like he's horrible or something like that. He's not like the Miz, you know. So, but like this one was pretty good. I thought they had a really well-rounded match. Danielson didn't even. You know, this one was better for him because he didn't go through his structural template as much. I'm going to do this. Okay, here comes this submission. Here comes my kicks. Here comes the knee. You know, here comes the cattle mutilate. Like, you know, structured out like that. This one felt a lot different. Several brutal suplexes. He was like trying to kill Danielson's neck. Paralyze his ass.
Shingo had some good moves where like he had Danielson like on the apron and he just like corkscrew like DDT.
Yeah, that was
like died in there. You know, he's like shaking a little bit.
Seizure moments again. And
then later on, he had another moment where like he had him in a submission, and then Shingo just powers him up, puts him on the shoulder, and gives him like a Death Valley or something like that. I'm like, man, those are some cool badass transitions.
Yeah, now we're moving on to a really fun match, in my opinion. The Young Bucks, Okada versus the Acclaimed, Boo, and Tanahashi, the Ace. This was a pretty fun match. There was some ridiculously delightful moments in there with Okada doing like some sort of DJ moves. And the running the ropes for Matt Jackson, flooring it, getting in his cardio in the middle of the match. So it was quite a hilarious match to some degree in there, and I think we even pointed out that like Max Caster and Bowens performed a little better in this match without Billy there.
Yeah, for sure. It's also funny to see Okada, you know, he's like running over there, he's only attacking the Ace in his corner, he's like ignoring all the other guys, like, I only hate this one jackass.
Is that why the Young Bucks kicked him in the head, the back of the head so hard?
That was hilarious, like, you're taking too long to get up, I'm gonna kick you in the back of the head.
I wonder if that's how it went. Like, it looked like Tanahashi kind of wasn't sure if he was getting out of the ring or like where he was, and then the Young Bucks just like, okay, I'll just kick him in the back of the head. He's like, oh.
Because I find like that wasn't. I don't think that's supposed to happen. Usually, they're both set up to do like the stereo super kicks.
Yeah.
And then only one of them kicked them, and then the guy's like, "What do I do?" And they would get back up, and they kicked him again.
Yeah, because I think Tanahashi might have been like a little bit of like, where's my placement? Am I leaving or am turning around to help? And Matt Jackson's like, screw this. Boom. So the first match, which I took no notes for, is MJF versus Hechicero. Hechicero had some moments, but once again, I kind of got the classic MJF stuff.
Yeah, classic MJF, you know, he's like faking injury. Oh, I hurt my arm. Usually hurt his knee. This time, you know, it hurt his arm or hurt his shoulder.
I gotta try another limb.
He's really good with that faking injury, so like I'm kind of past that. Yeah, Hechicero had some cool moves, cool transitions. I think he carried the match, but I think MJF brought a little bit more just to, you know, get on the Hechicicero's level kind of thing.
Yeah, like I said, he dangles that thing like, look, I can do a couple of things. And you're like, okay, why don't you do that? Well, I was like, yeah, this is what I mean. It's like, why don't you just do more things? Zack Sabre has 1,000 moves in his arsenal.
I find MJF's kind of chameleon. If he wrestles a slow guy, he'll wrestle a slow pace. If he wrestles a fast guy, he'll go faster pace, right? So I prefer, like, if he does more usually, but he
didn't really change towards Hechicero stuff. He did a couple of things, but it wasn't like he was turning up like some sort of submission game and doing some sort of crafty things.
Yeah, he just tries to up a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, so, but, you know, that was kind of a bit of a stinker for the Open, in my opinion. But, oh man, the 0 Hour one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Yota Tsuji, Teton, and Hiromu versus the Lucha Bros and Mystico. That one was good. That one was better than, I think,
some of these matches.
Definitely, yeah, the 4 of the matches we talked about, and the women's matches, of course. But it was a really good one, I thought, that match was. And they should have more of that stuff in the pay-per-views.
Yeah, definitely think that's one of the better matches of it was on the as a free, so you guys can go check it out.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways, let's see where we got this one ranked. We got good, great, awesome, amazing, spectacular, and fantastic. I was thinking amazing because I feel like it kind of started off good. Orange and Zach put it up another level. The ladder match put it up another level, and then Ospreay and Swerve put it up another level. So that got me to amazing for Forbidden Door.
Yeah, same. I have all amazing. There were several really good matches I enjoy. I don't like every match, of course, but then there was a lot of them.
Yeah, and like I think Shingo and Danielson actually did.
Yeah.
You know, usually I'm like Danielson pulls it down a bit, but you know I felt like that's what also helped push it up a little bit.
Yeah, he killed Danielson. He hit him so hard.
Anyways, that was our thoughts on Forbidden Door. What are your thoughts on Forbidden Door? Put that down in the comments, and be sure to check out this guy's t-shirt on whatever the hell I have it on, Teespring, something like that. Anyways, until next time, folks, how about some heavy wrestling?